Part 201. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2002. They ate until more than 3 o'clock before closing the table. Zhang Xiangbei, Gu Gong, and the others said goodbye to Lao Bao, the butcher and the others, and agreed on a time for the cold chain truck to arrive the next day. After the pig killer got up at dawn, there were still 2 pigs to kill at Lao Bao's house. Their master and apprentice stayed at Lao Bao's house at night. Other neighbors, relatives, and friends also dispersed. Many people had to walk around with flashlights. After an hour's mountain road, we returned to the top of the mountain and to the old village of Beijiao. The 3 of them set off. The frost and dew outside became heavier. After a while, a layer of fog formed on the front windshield. Xiao Wu had to open the front defogger. The air outlet whirred very noisily in the car. When people speak, they must shout. Zhang Xiangbei asked the consultant, "How are the living conditions at Lao Bao's house?" "It's pretty good in their village, and they can build new houses, but it's still very hard," Lao Bao said. "The main income of the family comes from the wages he and his daughter work in the development zone. Our son is studying in college. But it's not a good university, just a private one. In fact, it's useless to get a diploma, and the tuition is extremely expensive, but it's not enough if you don't study. That's how it is in the countryside. I think universities are so great. As long as my son gets into university, I have to sell iron to support him. I don't know that this kind of university will still go to a factory to work after graduation. In fact, it is better to go to work directly. I think even high school was for nothing." Xiao Wu also came from the countryside, and he is relatively familiar with the countryside. He shouted. "Yes, Xiao Wu is right, but let me tell you, in this society, if there is any class that still has a little respect for reading and scholars, it is the farmers. The concept passed down from generation to generation is that reading it is better than farming. Every farmer hopes that his children can study, and no farmer wants his children to continue to be farmers," Gu Gong said. Zhang Xiangbei nodded, feeling that what Gu Gong said made sense. He thought of Lu Dihua. In their family, they could live a rich and decent life at home without going out, but whether it was his parents or himself, "I think I should go out and study and work. Only idiots with no skills would stay at home and grow vegetables." "I understand, no wonder they all call you teacher Gu," Zhang Xiangbei said. Gu Gong laughed loudly and said, "It's true that teachers are really respectful when they come out of their mouths. Don't tell me that in rural areas, people in their 50s and 60s will only see their teachers being respectful. Be respectful, unlike in the city, where only good teachers will be remembered by the students. Most teachers are just assholes, and the word teacher has almost become a curse word. That's also the teacher today. He doesn't look like a teacher, and he's just messing around," Xiao Wu said. Gu Gong nodded and felt that Xiao Wu's words were not unreasonable. Whatever you do is the same as being a human being. You have to have self-respect and others will respect you. If you yourself are very dismissive of the teaching profession, how can you expect others to respect you? Respect you? The car continued to drive forward, and when it almost reached the highway entrance, the frost and dew outside seemed not to be so heavy anymore. Xiao turned off the front defogger, and the car suddenly became quiet. The 3 people all felt that their ears were clear. Zhang Xiangbei and Gu Gong continued to chat, and the topic returned to Lao Bao. Gu Gong said, "Actually, there is no use for Lao Bao to build such a big house. If my son does well in life, he will not come back. If he can't live in life, it will be useless to give him a house. This place is not in the suburbs. Houses in the suburbs can also be rented out to earn rent. No one rents the houses in this place. No matter how big the house is, most of it will be empty in the end. Think about it, Lao Bao and his daughter usually don't even come back in such a big house, only his wife and mother live. When Lao Bao was preparing to build this house, he called me and I told him, you might as well buy a house in Pujian County. You two, father and daughter, would no longer have to live in the dormitory of the factory. At that time, the houses in Pujian County were only more than 3,000, but now they cost tens of thousands. In the end, I didn't listen, and now I regret it. After building the house, I still owed debt. Even my son didn't care about the finished house. If I had bought a house in Pujian County, now I can make hundreds of thousands by selling it. I earned enough money to build a house back home. Is Lao Bao still in debt? Can't he rely on the mountain to support him? Zhang Xiangbei asked. The mountains here are useless. They are full of masan pine trees, and masan pine trees are worthless. Before Gu Gong could say anything, Xiao Wu spoke up, it doesn't count the formalities to cut down the trees. The money from selling the trees it's not enough to pay the helpers, and now mountains like this in the countryside are almost turning into barren hills, with no one taking care of them at all. Yes, that's what Xiao Wu said. If there are torreya trees, chestnut trees, and pecan trees on the mountains, it can also increase income. This kind of masan pine used to be used as firewood or used in factories to make packaging boxes. Now I don't even look at the factories' packaging boxes, they all use 5 or 9 centimeters boards instead of pine wood. Gu Gong said that Zhang Xiangbei remembered that when he was a child, he saw beer boxes made of pine strips. Now even beer boxes are made of cardboard. The rural areas here are still very miserable. The villagers are poor and the villagers are also miserable. The same rural areas, like the farmers in the suburbs, have made a fortune by renting out their houses and demolishing them. The village still gets dividends every year, and they live a very prosperous life. Every day play mahjong, prick your concubine's head, but there is no fart here. Like Lao Bao and his wife, they just raise a few pigs and chickens at home to supplement the household income, Gu Gong said. What's the use of relying on this? A pig only sells for 1,000 yuan, and how much does a chicken cost? Zhang Xiangbei said. Gu Gong smiled and said, it's better than nothing. What else would we do? We do grow some vegetables in the private plot behind the house, but half of it is eaten by humans and half by pigs. Giving vegetables to pigs, Zhang Xiangbei was surprised. The pig's treatment was too high. That's better than throwing it away and letting it rot, Gu Gong said. There are usually not many people in the village, they are all old men and women, and every family has their own land. How much vegetables can they eat? Vegetables grow in the ground. But if you don't wait for others, they will rot in the ground. Can't sell it? Zhang Xiangbei asked. Who should I sell it to? You can pick it up and sell it in the town. Firstly, the quantity is not that big. It's just some vegetables from your own land. As much as you can have, it's not enough. You can only carry a basket and sell it. Just a few vegetables and sell them. It's not enough for the fair, Gu Gong said and sighed. The vegetables are all good, pollution-free organic vegetables, but it's a pity that they grow in the wrong place. Zhang Xiangbei was silent. He thought of the places where he went to Yongcheng to harvest rice. Those places were similar to here, but there were more fields than here. But what is the use of having more fields? Farming is not profitable. 1 acre of land, the income is not enough for city people to have a meal in a hotel. Let's help them, Zhang Xiangbei said. How can we help? We are here to collect pigs. A pound of pork is already 1 yuan more than other people's. People in this village are very happy. Besides, what else can we help? Gu Gong said. Yeah, how else can we help? How to help? Zhang Xiangbei sighed secretly. He remembered that he wanted to help the farmers when he started this fresh home delivery. When he was talking to Xiao Fang that day, he also mentioned it, but during this period, he was kept being ignored. There are a lot of things that I have to worry about and I am busy thinking about how to make Zai Xian delivery survive. Only if Zai Shui can survive and develop can you have the ability to help others. Now it seems that the survival of Zai Shui is not a big problem. It is time for you to consider this matter. The situation here, including the situation in more rural areas, is the reality. How to help them is the problem. Buying meat costs 1 yuan, which can help a little, but not a big one. What's more, if you sell it yourself there is also a ceiling for the purchase price. It is impossible for me to raise the purchase price all the time. That would not be help, but charity. If you have to rely on charity, let alone one company, even if you have 10 or 100 companies going bankrupt, they won't be able to give you charity. How can I help? This is a problem. Zhang Xiangbei feels that this problem is just like the problem of solving the last mile problem of home delivery. There must be a way, but this method has not been found yet. When Zhang Xiangbei and the others returned to Hangzhou, it was already dark. However, winter mornings and evenings are exactly the opposite. In the evenings, it gets dark very quickly. As soon as you turn around, it gets dark. In the early morning, it gets dark. But it lit up very slowly, as if I was sleeping in. It was always dim and refused to get up. The three of them did not go home, but went directly to the company. They wanted to take a nap in the office before it was time to go to work. Besides, their company was still busy at this time, and the last batch of unit delivery trucks had not yet arrived. Drive away, and community delivery starts at midnight and continues until after 9 o'clock. Zhang Xiangbei got out of the car, put his palm in front of his mouth, took a few breaths, and sniffed his nose. It seemed that there was no smell of alcohol anymore. He still took out the gum, put it in his mouth, chewed it, and then walked to the workshop to take a look. After walking around the workshop, Zhang Xiangbei returned to his office upstairs. After washing, he was still not sleepy. He looked at the time and saw that Xiang Nan would have to get up in more than half an hour. Zhang Xiangbei decided to wait until Xiang Nan got up. He sat down on the sofa, turned on his mobile phone, and then clicked on their company's WeChat group. In this group, there were all people at or above the general manager level of their company's branch. As soon as Zhang Xiangbei entered, he saw Xiang Yun shouting inside. "Is there anyone else who can move? Come out." Zhang Xiangbei asked, "What are you doing?" Xiang Yun giggled and said, "I got up too early, I'm bored, just ask." Boring, Zhang Xiangbei scolded, "People who are working don't have time to talk to you. People who are not working have not gotten up yet. What are you yelling at?" "What about you, Mr. Zhang?" Xiang Yun asked, "the former or the latter?" "I just came back from overseas and just arrived at the office," Zhang Xiangbei said. Immediately, Xiang Evian requested the video. Zhang Xiangbei accepted and asked, "What's wrong?" "Talk about work. I originally wanted to call you later, but since you're here now, that's just right." Xiang Yun and Zhang Xiangbei said that she told Zhang Xiangbei that there were two farms, one wanted to sell to them, and the other wanted to form a partnership with them. "I have visited these two farms, and they are both ideal. One is in Wushang, and the other is in Zhongwei. If we take them to our company, we will be outside Shizuozi, in these two places. And now we have our own base, it will be much more convenient to expand to surrounding family farms," Xiang Yun and Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Xiangbei also thinks Xiang Evian's idea is a good one. As their daily delivery volume continues to increase, the stability of the supply side has become an issue that they must pay attention to. "Mr. Zhang, when can you come?" Xiang Yun asked. Zhang Xiangbei checked the flight on the computer and said to Xiang Yun, "President Wu and I are leaving now. We can arrive in Yinchuan at noon. Come and pick us up at the airport." "Really? That's great. I'll contact them right away. Can we go to Wushang first tomorrow and Zhongwei the day after tomorrow?" Xiang Yun asked. Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Zhang Xiangbei put down his cell phone, picked up the phone on the table, called Xiao Wu, and said to him, "Master, get ready. We will leave in 10 minutes. Let's go to sleep on the plane and go to Ningxia. No need to prepare, let's go. My suitcase is still in the office and has not been opened yet," Xiao Wu said. Xiao Wu just came back from Chengdu yesterday and went to Beijiao with them. Chengdu, Chongqing, and Wuhan are the cities they want to develop after the Spring Festival. Zhang Xiangbei opened the cabinet, took out his backpack from inside, threw in a few changes of clothes, and took out a down coat and put it on his hand. With the down coat, the coat on his body seemed redundant and he took off his coat and hung it in the cabinet. Zhang Xiangbei walked out. He planned to go to the airport and call Wu Huan and Xiangnan. "Thank you for the reward of Jinghong Yishi, my misty rain Jiangnan, and 2 fishes. Thank you to Wenming Reading, Mikkel, Humor Tribe, Silent Heart, On the Road to a Nation, and Book Friends 201809062232049344 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 2003. Xiaofang sat there, a little absent-minded. She kept turning a pen on her desk with her fingers. After turning it for a while, she opened the video and had a conversation with Lu Qing in Shanghai. As he spoke, he continued to spin the pen in his hand. After the call, Xiaofang picked up the pen and inserted it into the pen holder. She got up and walked into the bathroom. She walked to the sink, looked at herself in the mirror, and brushed a lock of hair from her forehead with her hand. He walked out again and sat down on the sofa. Xiaofang is waiting for someone. The person she is waiting for is her senior student at Yale, who is now a well-known boss in the domestic investment community. At the beginning, like Xiaofang, he returned to China to invest with $20 million from the Yale University Fund. He invested $20 million in Tencent. Today, Tencent's market value has increased more than 400 times, making it his most successful investment. 1 year ago, he also invested $1.5 billion in JD.com, and then invested in Pinduoduo, Meituan, Trip, and Qunar. Putting all these together, he formed the other half of the internet that he and Mr. Ma can compete with. Yesterday, the vice president of Yale called Xiaofang and said that the senior wanted to visit Xiaofang and asked her if it was possible. Xiaofang thought to herself, 2 Chinese people are in China, and they need an old American to help them. It's a bit funny to get to know each other. Besides, according to his status in the domestic investment community, Xiaofang should be the one to visit him. This was the other way around, and his attitude was already low enough. How could Xiaofang refuse? Of course, he said he agreed and welcomed him. Xiaofang has known about the senior for a long time, but has never had the opportunity to get to know him, and has no intention to get to know him. It is not that Xiaofang thinks he is aloof, or that his peers look down on him, but he is a little afraid. The water in the domestic investment community is too muddy now, with a mixture of good and bad, and everyone is there. There are people like her and the senior, whose identities and backgrounds are relatively simple, who have raised money abroad and invested in China, relying on their own vision and patience to focus on value investment. There are also a group of people who are actually half empty. But guys who believe that their background is unusual, they sniff around like hunting dogs, sniffing out where they can make money, and their methods. It looks very polite, but in fact it is very rough. He just kicks him in and takes away everything he wants. The company they so-called invested in has no room or possibility to resist. If you don't agree, then the pressure will come overwhelming. Xiaofang felt that this was no investment at all, it was just vandalism, smashing and looting, but people thought that they were the orthodox ones and even the country belonged to them, so what happened to vandalism, smashing and looting? There are not a few such so-called investors now, and they come in all sizes. When a small city reaches a certain level, and he feels that his background can cover the market, he becomes a market tyrant and can cover a certain market. When it comes to the industry, they become dominators. Many times, they don't achieve enough success, but they have more than enough bad deeds. A former colleague of Xiaofang once said that I may not be able to guarantee that a certain company will be listed on the A-share market, but I can definitely prevent it from being listed on the market. That's how he looks and eats. There are also some relatively low-end investors who made money from loan sharking in the early years. Now they have washed their hands, put on suits and ties, and come to invest. Anyway, investing is really simple, and the threshold is very low. As long as you have money, it's okay. You don't have money, you can have other things that can suppress others. As for the rewards, that's another story. Xiaofang is very repulsive to the latter two groups of people. She feels that if she accidentally gets involved with them, she will be unlucky without knowing when. Isn't there a saying that the mountain depends on the water and the water flows on everyone? If people can't resist the laws of nature, they will grow old and die. Where in this damn world can there be anything that can always be relied on? The higher you climb today, the harder you will fall when you fall. Unless you rely on yourself, of course, you will sometimes be unreliable, but in that case, at least you don't have to blame others, you can only admit that you are unlucky, and you will be convinced even if you lose. Therefore, Xiaofang's circle of friends in China is very small. She doesn't like to hang out with others or join in the fun. She only likes to invest in a certain project alone, or only when people like Lu Yun and Xia who know the ins and outs, she will join forces with them to invest in a certain project. Other people, she won't have contact with them if she doesn't want to, and if she doesn't know them, thank you, we can just stay as strangers. Including some of her former colleagues in the United States, most of these people were in the second category. For a while, American fund companies and investment banks were very bad. They seemed to have suddenly enlightened and understood what was most important when investing in China. What can make them make a lot of money? They watched Goldman Sachs and Blackstone, like magicians, make giant state-owned enterprises listed in the United States and make huge profits. Their eyes were straightened, and they finally understood. These ghost guys, from the very beginning they were very repulsive to a certain kind of young people in the country, to suddenly they regard them as a piece of cake and take them into their arms. To be honest, there are really not many decent people who are really capable. If he hangs around on Wall Street like this, of course he won't be able to get ahead. People want him, but they have no intention of letting him stay on Wall Street. All these people come back to their hometowns. Xiaofang's former colleagues on Wall Street had several such guys. They thought that Xiaofang would go back to China and work with them. Of course, Xiaofang refused. After she returned to China, she basically had no contact with them. People with different paths do not seek each other. Their path is one that Xiaofang cannot understand and looks down on, and she does not have the capital to follow it. It's better to say goodbye and let's forget each other in the world. But the water in the domestic investment community is too muddy, and the energy of these people is so powerful that they are almost all pervasive. They often get mixed up with the first type of people, and even become shadow warriors behind the first type of people, which makes it difficult for people to distinguish. Another situation is that sometimes the investors are confused. They will feel that they need a backer behind such people, and they will be fine if they have them. They take the initiative to hook up with them, just like Xiaofang's earliest Zhuanghui International, and then some investors came in. Xiaofang didn't know how these investors came in. Their faces were blurry and their figures were looming. Xiaofang knows very well that if the company colludes with these people, you think you are suddenly powerful and can scold Fang Qiu. In fact, you are just voluntarily and stupidly strapping a bomb, and it will explode sooner or later. I just don't know the time of the explosion. Xiaofang lost interest and withdrew from Shuanghui International. When a person is in a turbid pond, it is difficult for him to clean himself up. If you don't need to wipe yourself with sewage, others will throw sewage at you, or when he falls down, the sewage will splash up. It will all splash on you. It's better to stay away from these tragedies and be a very simple investor. When the water starts to become turbid, step away and escape. Including Xiaofang doesn't want Zhang Chen's career to be tied to her own. This is also the reason. She knows that traditional companies like Zhang Chen are not listed on the market and have no leverage. She only knows that Hang Chi works hard like a fool. Yes, few of those guys are attracted to them, so it will be relatively safe. To make it clear, Xiaofang also wanted to not let her affairs here affect Zhang Chen. Although it was difficult, the firewall still had to be built first. This senior has taken such a big turn and is coming to visit Xiaofang today. Of course Xiaofang knows that he is here for a Zaixian delivery. Zaixian delivery has already shocked teacher Ma and Jingdong. How could it be possible? Will escape from the sight of seniors. Xiaofang is not as naive as Zhang Xiangbei. She knows that enterprises can survive and grow in society, not in a vacuum. In a vacuum, nothing will grow. With the scale of home delivery as it gets bigger and bigger, its profitability becomes clearer and clearer, and when everyone can see it, the pressure will get bigger and bigger. Not only Zheng Huiyang and the senior came to the door, but also many people, including many ghosts and monsters. If they avoid it, they will go directly to Zhang Xiangbei or Zhang Chen. Ahem, it's better to do it by yourself. Someone knocked on the door. Xiaofang said please come in, the door opened, Zhao Zheng and Xiaofang said, boss, someone is looking for you. As soon as Zhao Zheng finished speaking, a man in his 40s wearing glasses walked in. He did not have an entourage, nor was he wearing a suit and tie. Instead, he was wearing a jacket and a backpack on his back. Xiaofang laughed when she saw his backpack. How much do the boys at Yale like backpacks? However, you are no longer Zhang Xiangbei. With your age and status as a boss, you are still carrying a backpack. It is more like showing off, senior. Xiaofang greeted her. The senior smiled when he looked at her and asked, are you gone? Call me Xiaofang, senior, Xiaofang said. The senior laughed loudly, and the laughter rolled out one after another. It seemed that he couldn't stop, and his throat seemed to be blocked. The senior said, okay, Xiaofang is fine, but she's not the one from the village. Xiaofang laughed and said, I really come from a village below Chongqing. I am also from the village, and a name is like a place in the village, the senior said. I know, Zumadian, Xiaofang said, senior's name is so popular now, how could I not know about it? The senior continued to laugh, actually, I have been paying attention to you. Ever since you were on Wall Street, the chemistry student from Yale has become famous on Wall Street. However, someone told me that you are not willing to associate with others. You don't mean to say that I'm aloof, do you? Xiaofang laughed. No, wait, let me think about it, an old colleague of yours told me this. I think his word is very accurate, the senior thought for a moment and said, independent, unique independent, saying that you are very independent. No way, I'm just a housewife. I can't be on the stage and I'm afraid of seeing people, Xiaofang laughed. The senior tilted his head, looking at Xiaofang from behind the lenses, then looked around and asked. Is this a place for housewives? Why doesn't it look like it to me? Both of them laughed. This meeting was not bad. It really brought them back to the relationship between seniors and junior girls. The senior continued, I just thought, just be alone. There will definitely be a chance. Maybe I will meet you and Zhang Xiangbei at the Yale Alumni Association sometime. Zhang Xiangbei's affairs at Yale, I've heard a lot of it too. Well, it's finally here, it's finally Zhangjiangbei, and then it's time to go to Zaixian delivery, so let's come, Xiaofang thought to herself. Thank you too for the tip. Thank you Windenwing and Bookbag for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2004. When the senior is talking and listening, he habitually tilts his head slightly to the right and his neck to look very serious and focused. The conversation between the two was frank and the atmosphere was harmonious. The senior took a matter-of-fact attitude. The two exchanged their views on home delivery, discussed its various possibilities, and even discussed home delivery. The possible impact of fresh delivery on JD.com and Dibao. Even when it comes to the impact on JD.com, the senior also speaks very objectively, as if JD.com is not a company in which he has invested heavily, but he is talking about two companies that have nothing to do with him at all. Xiaofang appreciates this kind of objectivity and attitude. She thinks that those who make investments must have the ability to jump out and see everything from a third party's perspective. You should not be too indulged in it. If you are too indulged in it, it will affect you. Judgment, the eyes will be blinded. When there is a problem with the company or team you invest in, you will lack the ability to discover it in time, cannot correct the deviation, cannot stop the loss, and will get stuck in it, getting deeper and deeper until you can't extricate yourself. Maybe, a failed investment will make you fall down completely. Investors, especially venture capital, cannot win every battle. Failure is common. The most important thing is that you can escape at the right point, or even admit losses and exit. If you don't have this ability, you are just a gambler, a bad gambler, rather than a qualified investor. When talking about Doubao, Xiaofang also knew for the first time that her senior also invested in Doubao, but the share was not very large. Xiaofang joked. Are you hedging? The senior smiled and did not comment. The two had a deep and thorough conversation, and the senior admitted frankly that Zaixian is now very damaging to JD.com's fresh food delivery sector. Xiaofang asked her senior if she would suggest that JD.com compete head-on. I don't know if Lu Qiangdong will do it, but I won't suggest it, the senior said frankly without even thinking about it. Why? Xiaofang asked. Things are made by people, but everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and the same goes for a team. When a team does what it is good at, it will be able to do it well and do it well, but you can't expect that. He can do everything very well. As for the delivery of fresh food, I have been observing and thinking about it. I think Zaixian delivery is not one step ahead. If it's one step, it's easy to catch up, but if it's an all-round lead, it's the person's lead in thinking in this area. The lead in thinking is very scary, and it will make it impossible for you to catch up, because when you are chasing, he is also making progress, and every step he takes is bigger and more accurate than you. In the end, you will find that the more you chase, the bigger the gap becomes. Qiangdong is a very capable person, but that does not mean that he can do a perfect job in every aspect. For example, in the area of fresh food delivery, if you are not sure, you can do it 100% better than Zaixian delivery. I don't recommend PK. When the senior said this, he stopped. He looked at Xiaofang and suddenly asked, can you introduce me to Zhang Xiangbei? I am very interested in him. Next time, Xiaofang said, I think if he can communicate with you, he will be inspired a lot. Unfortunately, he just went to Ningxia this morning. He will probably be very busy before the end of the year. I am afraid that even I will not be able to see him. His time is limited. I understand that the Spring Festival is a hurdle for him. Delivery and supply cannot be interrupted, but farmers have to rest and workers have to go home. For him, there are a lot of headaches. Even express companies can take a holiday, but they can't, said the senior. Xiaofang is right, distribution, supply, and logistics are all very fragile links during the Spring Festival. I am a little worried about whether there will be problems in any link, and he is a person who has high demands on himself, the senior asked. Xiaofang nodded. I know, I've already understood it, the senior said. Just one company that doesn't sell overnight food will scare away many competitors. So as I said before, if you can't do many things, don't do it. Zhang Xiangbei seems to be very suitable for this. I am very surprised. What's weird? Xiaofang asked. Isn't he supposed to be not interested in these at all? How come he went to grow vegetables when he arrived at Yale? The senior asked. You are from the village, and you have never thought about growing vegetables at Yale, right? Is he? I don't know who was the first Yale person to think of growing vegetables, but he must have been the first. Xiaofang smiled and said, it's true, I don't know this either. It's not that Xiaofang didn't know, but she hadn't thought about it. When the senior said it, she remembered it. Yes, why was Bai Bei so interested in this? If he wasn't interested, he wouldn't be so involved. If he wasn't, if you devote yourself wholeheartedly, you will be a dabbler and cannot achieve what the senior said. In the eyes of others, Zhang Xiangbei is just a second-generation rich man. What he likes should not be luxury cars, famous brands, and video games, but even internet celebrities and third and fourth-tier celebrities. They don't know how he likes growing vegetables. Zhang Xiangbei's family has a grandmother who loves to go to the vegetable market, and 2 land reclamation warriors. When the senior said this, Xiaofang remembered that this must have had an impact. When it was time to eat, the 2 of them went to the restaurant to eat together. During the meal, they talked about delivery at home, and they continued to chat after they came back. Finally, talking about the most important thing, the senior asked, when will the round of Zai Xianshui start? Xiaofang said, there is no such plan yet. Why? The senior asked. The time is ripe. If it is valued, its current valuation will not be low. It should be above tens of billions. Zhang Xiangbei has no such plan yet. I think he doesn't want to be disturbed by too many other things and people at the moment, Xiaofang said. What about you, including the 2 investors? The senior asked. With respect to Zhang Xiangbei, it can be said that the first batch of investors are a bit special. Xiaofang knew that it was impossible that the senior had not studied Lu Yun and Ziahu. Instead of hiding it, it was better to tell the truth openly. Speaking openly could stop the senior, but Xiaofang was not willing to close the door completely. Zai Xian delivery is now. Just because there is no need for new financing does not mean that it will never be needed in the future. As long as an enterprise wants to develop, there will be a need for financing. When Zai Xian delivery needs financing, senior students may not be a good choice. At the same time, Xiaofang also knows that if the door is shut tightly without any cracks, it is true that people will not miss you anymore. Just because they don't miss you doesn't mean that they will look at such a piece of fat. You are the only one performing and eating on the stage. Since it is not possible for you here, in other places, the seniors may no longer advise against it. Sometimes there are some things that you have to do bravely. People still need to see the light. Only when there is light will they feel that there is hope, Xiaofang feels. The senior agreed. When it's convenient for you, please introduce Zhang Xiangbei to me. Also, when you are about to start the round, remember to inform me. Xiaofang said yes, you are also his senior, and he should have asked you for help. Xiaofang understands why the senior insists on getting to know Zhang Xiangbei. Investors are all very eye-catching. No matter how beautiful your plan is, it can't compare to a face-to-face communication with you. From the communication, you can judge whether you, the person, are in tune with what you want to do, and whether you, the person, have the ability to accomplish things to that point. If it is, the rest will be easy to handle. If you don't have enough money, you can make more money. If you don't have enough money, we can help you initiate rounds of financing. If the team configuration is lacking, we can also help you find the right people to make up for this deficiency. But if you are not for such a person, if you are not in tune with what you want to do, then you are out of tune, and you will definitely not be able to vote. If you vote, you will definitely be in vain. The most taboo thing in investing is to drive the duck up. If you drive the duck up, you will also drive yourself up, and then you will not be able to get down. This is why when Xiaofang and Wu Yu met and communicated, they felt that his women's street could be built, but he and Sheng Chunyang alone could not do it. But when Xiaofang saw Wu Huan again and communicated with Wu Huan after that, the reason for voting was decided on the spot. The senior said goodbye to Xiaofang, put on his backpack and left. Xiaofang looked at it and still felt it didn't match, so she smiled and shook her head. Xiaofang returned to the office from the elevator, picked up the phone on her desk, and called Lu Yun's office. Lu Yun answered the call, and Xiaofang said, "I'm coming over," and hung up the phone. "Who is having lunch with you?" Lu Yun asked as soon as Xiaofang walked into Lu Yun's office. Xiaofang told Senior Lu Yun his name, and Lu Yun said, "It turns out it's really him. No wonder, I think he looks a lot like him." "Have you ever dealt with him?" Xiaofang asked. "No, I've met him 2 or 3 times, always at meetings I attended," Lu Yun said. "Did you send it to Zaixian?" Xiaofang nodded. "There are quite a few people who are worried about it," Lu Yun sneered. "And none of them are good," Xiaofang sighed. "The rain is about to come." "How scary is it?" Lu Yun asked. Xiaofang relayed the conversation between herself and her senior to Lu Yun. Lu Yun listened quietly. After Xiaofang finished speaking, Lu Yun nodded. "She seems to be more difficult to deal with than Zheng Huiyang. If she doesn't achieve her goal, she won't give up." "Same, I think Zheng Huiyang will come again," Xiaofang said with a smile. "Yes, Bai Bei makes people unable to sleep, and it is normal for people to worry about them. In fact, it is us who are not normal." What the senior said before is right. It's actually time for Zai Zian Shui Series A. Should we discuss it with Bai Bei? It's better not to give up for now. Let's raise Zai Xiansheng a little longer. Anyway, it already has hematopoietic function and is not short of money. Lu Yun thought for a while and then said, "What I'm worried about is that starting the around now will disrupt Bai Bei's rhythm. Secondly, we still don't know what these people want to do. We're afraid that home delivery will not be the best thing in their eyes. The back of the hand is not, it is just a chess piece they want to control. They say they participated in the financing, but in fact they just put their hands in and do things inside, and it is their own part that develops." Xiaofang feels that Lu Yun's concerns are right. The scale of Zaixian Shui is not big enough yet. If they start the around and they don't want to lose their right to speak, they can only use a small part of their shares to participate in the round. In this way, these people only spent a small amount of money to put their hands in. This amount of money is insignificant to them. Even if it is just to become a shareholder and know your development direction before others, it is worth it. It is equivalent to spending a lot of money. For a small amount of money, you bought yourself a good PK position and became an opponent who has already looked through your cards. When the scale of Zaixian delivery is large enough, and they want to get involved again, the price will be high. After spending a lot of money, they will have to tie themselves to Zaixian delivery. Together, we live and die together. Thank you book friend 201808241246544421 for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 up and 1 down. Thank you for your monthly votes from Shui Shubeo, Zipanjiang 1, On the Road to a Nation, Dan Wasufa 222, Tian Wei Y, Daxiaoxi, Lao Shenza Sang, Lao Chantang, Zongkai 727, and book friends 201901180252243114. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 2005. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu arrived in Yinchuan, and Xiang Yun came to pick them up at Hedong Airport alone. The three of them arrived at the company, and the company was deserted, with no one around. Zhang Xiangbei was surprised and asked Xiang Yun, "Where are the people in the company? They've all been sent down below. The manpower is already tight. Why are we still staying in the office?" Xiang Yun said, "The manpower is really tight. Mr. Zhang, I didn't come here and did it deliberately for you to see. We have to go out tomorrow, so I just transferred someone from Gaiwan to come back and guard the office, and he won't arrive until evening." Zhang Xiangbei didn't expect that the manpower of their Ningxia branch would be so tight. Isn't there the same number of people here as in Yunnan? How could it be so tight? Zhang Xiangbei thought for a while and understood that this place is really different from other places. For example, in Shaoguang, a cooperative is a village. If Lu Dihua and others want to deliver goods, they only need to go to the village. In Guangdong, a company may span several villages. If Lin Kunfen and others want to deliver goods, they only need to go to other companies. They will gather several varieties and vehicles together to weigh and inspect the goods for you. Here, there are several family farms in one village, which means that one person has to travel to several places when delivering goods. However, since the manpower is so tight, why has there never been any response from Xiang Evian? "Xiang Yun, your place is special, why don't you ask for more people?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "No, I don't want to be special. People are flexible. You can force them out if you force them. If we add more people, I guarantee that we will still be busy. We used to have this on the construction site, with 3 workers working. It was so busy that I added 5 additional workers, but they were still called busy. I got angry and fired 2 of them, but then 3 workers were added. Each of them was given an extra 100 yuan per month, but no one called me anymore." Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu both laughed and said to Yun, "There are too many people, and it is easy to be lazy. The expenses are also huge. When these people are free, you talk about me and I talk about you. There is still a lot of right and wrong. As it is now, I am so busy every day that I have no time to talk. Instead, the world is peaceful." Zhang Xiangbei thought of a question and asked, "But what should we do during the Spring Festival, if many people have to go home?" "It doesn't exist," Xiang Yun said, "the company is full of young people. If there is no reason to go home, their positions have also been transferred to the place closest to home. On the night of the 30th, they went home to eat in the afternoon. After a New Year's Eve dinner, we can come back in time. Besides, I have already arranged things for the Spring Festival. Even overtime wages have been paid first. They probably sent them home," Xiang Yun said. "Isn't there still more than half a month left, so it's arranged so early?" Xiao Wu asked. "It will be difficult to make arrangements until then. Everyone will make a fuss to go home. As long as one person makes a fuss, others will follow suit. With so many people making fuss together, it will be difficult to do ideological work. The arrangement is now. The atmosphere of the Spring Festival has not yet risen. If you say a few nice words and agree to stay and work overtime, then the overtime wages will be paid immediately. It is best for them to use them all. After the money is used, you will not be able to think about it by then. You have to work overtime, and you have such a scumbag. Everyone likes to take this money in, who is willing to take it out? Just because of this, he has to work overtime." Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu sat there and laughed. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Xiang Yun, you have so many clever ideas. I am such a person myself. I just thought, is there any way to keep myself here, so that it would be easier to think about?" Xiang Yun said, "I told Mr. Wu yesterday, and she also thought this method was good. She said, work really needs to be done first, and she wants to promote this method throughout the company. Zhang Xiangbei nodded. Indeed, the Spring Festival is a headache for them. No matter how they do their work, some delivery workers always have to go back. For them, the Spring Festival is different from other festivals, that is, unit customers' delivery is expected to be significantly reduced by then, but community customers will increase significantly. People who used to eat in the workplace will now cook at home, and the needs of families will definitely increase a lot. Although the population in the city will decrease sharply, most of the people who will lose their meals will be migrant workers. For some people, the proportion of customers in their original community is not high, and they are the main force in ordering takeout. In order to solve this problem, Zhang Xiangbei and the others used their brains. Later, Zhang Xiangbei came up with a way, which was to recruit day workers. The family members of his unit were on vacation in his own unit. If he did not go back, they could. When you come to work with them, your wages are calculated daily and are calculated as 3 times your overtime wages. Another option is to recruit students from universities. Many students who don't want to go home can also work here. They not only take care of food, but also get wages. They can use this winter vacation to earn some tuition and living expenses. Internally, they will reorganize all personnel, and integrate old workers with these new employees who are paid daily wages. The new employees will mainly serve as hands-on workers. Otherwise, they are not familiar with the streets and communities, and they will not even know where they need to be sent. No. They issued an internal notice, and many people signed up for his family members. The canteens of various universities were their customers. Zhou Ruyi asked these canteens to help and posted their recruitment notices in the university canteens. Many students, I signed up online and over the phone, so that they could finally cope with the shortage of delivery personnel during the Spring Festival. Not only are Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, and other places in need of delivery personnel, but the branches responsible for collecting food in various places are also facing such problems. The method proposed to Evian seems to be somewhat effective. It will be great when we build our own farms in each place, Yang Yun said. By the way, Mr. Zhang, I want to build 2 farms in Yinchuan and Gaiwan, so that we can several major vegetable producing areas in Ningxia have their own farms. Is that okay? Yes. Next, the more cities we develop, the greater the demand on the supply side. If conditions are available in Ningxia, you can develop more of our own farms, not just one in each place, Zhang Xiangbei said. Okay, I'm good at this, Yang Yun chuckled. In the next 2 days, they drove to Wuzhong and Zhongwei. These 2 farms were as ideal as Yang Evian said. One of them had been abandoned, and all the original workers on the farm had been disbanded. Zhang Xiangbei, they bought it. There are still some workers on the farm, but due to poor management, the farm has been half dead for more than 10 years. They want to lay off the workers, but cannot pay severance pay. They want to resume production, but they don't have the funds. The local county wants to cooperating with Zhexianshuang and using them to revitalize the farm. Zhang Xiangbei made the decision on the spot. When Zhongwei returned to Yinchuan, Xiang Yun took out a farm worker's salary structure and showed it to Zhang Xiangbei. She said to Zhang Xiangbei, I have already sent it to Mr. Wu, and she asked the finance center to review it. She said that it is our farm here, and it can be paid according to the salary standard. Mr. Wu asked me to approve it for you. Zhang Xiangbei was a little confused. He said, it's not urgent. We can wait for the farm procedures to be completed. It's very urgent. I have to print it out, many more, Xiang Yun said. Why did you print this? Zhang Xiangbei asked. I will take this and go from village to village. Together with the recruitment notice, I will post it to the village committee and village of each village. We have a farm, but then the workers will be a trouble. Shi's Wizi in that farm, we had to go to great lengths to recruit people. Here in Ningxia, everyone goes out to work, and there are very few people who come to Ningxia to work. Isn't it the Spring Festival soon? People who went to work outside have all come back. We posted this and asked the village committee to help publicize it. When people come back, they see that the salary is not bad and it's not far away from home. Recently, many people don't go out after the Chinese New Year. If we wait until everyone has left before we recruit them, we won't be able to recruit them. Also, I will ask people in the company to send this to their homes, and ask their family members to help post it in the village. Anyway, the wider the scope, the better. As soon as Xiang Yayun said it, Zhang Xiangbei also felt that this matter really had to be done. Otherwise, by then, all the people here would have gone to work in coastal areas. What use would it be if they only had farms but no people? Zhang Xiangbei looked at Xiang Yayun and asked, "Is it your job to be at the forefront again?" "That's right, Mr. Zhang, please praise me quickly." Xiang Yayun smiled. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Yes, I recommend you to be an excellent employee of the company." Xiang Yayun waved his hand, "Forget it, verbal praise is enough. If the outstanding employee has money, you should give it to Guo Cheng. He works very hard and needs money." "What's wrong with him?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "Of course I am getting married now that I am old. My girlfriend is a quality inspector at our Shizuiza farm," Xiang Yayun said. "That's right, this guy moves pretty fast. When we came here last time, he was still a bachelor," Xiao Wu shouted. Xiang Yayun chuckled, "At that time, he didn't even have a job yet. Even if Sister Lin fell from the sky, he wouldn't dare to ask for it." Zhang Xiangbei and the others took a flight back to Hangzhou that night. The reason why they were in such a hurry was because they still had a lot of things to do when they got back. They had to go to Beijing, Shanghai, Nanjing, Hangzhou, etc. a few years ago. These fresh food delivery, we have signed supply contracts with many vegetable farmers near the cities where we have already launched. Although these places are not the main producing areas of vegetables, and the vegetable planting areas are relatively small and scattered, there are still some professional vegetable growers. The biggest reason why Zhang Xiangbei and others like them is the short distance and the time for deployment and logistics. By combining short-term and long-distance operations, the flexibility of their dispatch center can be greatly increased. In winter, especially when vegetables from the north are transported to the south, unpredictable risks increase, and road closures often occur on highways. With these nearby vegetable supply points, their ability to cope with such disaster weather is enhanced. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2006. January is almost over, and the Spring Festival is coming. For Zhang Chen and others, the Spring Festival is a problem every year. Many employees below have to go back, and the unit must arrange for them to leave, and for those who stay, how to stay must be arranged. Fortunately, as the company has grown, these problems still exist, but it is no longer Zhang Chen's problem, but the problem of the people below. The heads of each department below will make arrangements for themselves. Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, the one in Benmuishan building in Hangzhou, is fully booked for New Year's Eve dinner. The one in Xiaosha is on holiday, so Huihuan brought people from the two hotels together so that the staff arrangements for the Spring Festival can be smoothed out. It's no longer a problem. If they really need to go back, let them go. The Tuxianjiayuan Hotel in Shanghai and Ningbo is also like this. One family is left to cook New Year's Eve dinner, and the rest are on holiday. The remaining people gather in this hotel. The Dynamic Zone and Clothing Factory below are already on holiday, so Xiaoli and the others only need to arrange who will go and who will stay. Most companies in the e-commerce industrial park are also on holiday, and they only need to keep some staff to continue to provide services. Liu customization has been merged into Renjia tourism. Now it is not Zhang Chen's problem, but Lu Ligan's problem. To be more precise, it is Xiaomi's problem, not the ones in Shanghai, Beijing, Hangzhou, and Sanya. In every shop, the people are still the same people who used to be customized by Liu. They have been like this every year, but this is just the case now. Logistic spaces in various places. During the Spring Festival, the companies that rent their warehouses have a holiday in the middle of the night. The loading, unloading and distribution work has been greatly reduced, and the number of people in the base can also be reduced accordingly. Erhuo and Xiaoli, there are still spare personnel, and they are arranged to go to Zaixian delivery to help. In the past, these people were not considered day laborers. Zai Xianshui and them were already part of the same family, but Zai Xianshui was still paid and overtime wages were still paid, and they were very willing to do so. The least problematic thing is Cao Minfang's Sanya. Not only their hotel in Sanya, but all the hotels in Sanya have become accustomed to not having a holiday during the Spring Festival. Many hotels, all year round, count on making money back during the Spring Festival. People from all over the country go to Sanya. It's hard to find a room in Sanya. At this time, what do you want to put in? And it's strange that people who go to Sanya to work seem to have little idea of the Spring Festival. The Spring Festival is the Spring Festival of the guests staying in the hotel, not my own Spring Festival. Others have come here, and I have been idle for a year. Finally, if you are busy, then be busy. I don't know if they subconsciously feel that they have already reached the end of the world anyway. The migrant workers in Sanya are very indifferent to the idea of going home for the new year. Few people will ask to go home at this time. The whole city is welcoming the southern and northern accents. I quickly integrated into the southern and northern accents. Besides, these people with southern and northern accents have to leave their homes and come to the seaside hotel. In the whole hotel, whether they are guests or employees, they are all people who have given up going home to celebrate the new year. Lu Ligan came back, and everyone felt that everyone seemed to be gathered together, so they had the urge to go out to celebrate the new year. In addition, Xiaofang's grandmother had always wanted Xiaofang and the others to go back. She wanted to see Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangzi looked at Gan Xiangdong and Xiangnan. Xiaofang's parents didn't say anything, but they still wanted to go back and see them. The elderly are not as young as them. The young people just stand up and leave wherever they want to go. A few hours later, they are in another city. However, the elderly people think that even going from Hangzhou to Chongqing is a big deal. The reason was not the time, nor the expensive fare, but the words going on a far journey were enough to make them hesitate and flinch. Zhang Chen and Xiaofang discussed that they might as well go back to Chongqing for the new year this year. When they mentioned this decision to Zhang Xiangbei immediately jumped up and said, "No, you can go, but I can't go because I am so busy during the Spring Festival. How can I go? Besides, I was still working in the company and asked others to stay. How could it be possible? I escaped from the battlefield myself," Zhang Xiangbei said. "Don't you still have Wu Huan here?" Xiaofang said. "Bai Bei, you are the chairman, not the CEO. The existence of the CEO is to prevent you from immersing yourself in specific affairs every day." "I do specific things every day," Zhang Xiangbei said. "I'm too lazy to care about whether the chairman is the chairman or not." This was possible when the company was first established, but now that the company's business has stabilized, you have to clearly distinguish some boundaries, Xiaofang said. "I can't tell. I just can't take any time off anyway. If I really want to have nothing to do, I would rather go to Gu Gong's place to make pickles than stay in the office." Xiaofang laughed and said, "At this point, Bai Bei, you really have to learn from your father. When there is no one below, there is no other way. You have to go up there yourself, but if there is no one below, if there is someone, you should fully trust him instead of restricting the performance of his abilities. Come on, Bai Bei, sit down, Auntie has something to ask you." Zhang Xiangbei had no choice but to sit down, and Xiaofang asked, "You are in the company now. Many things have been settled by Wu Huan, but she still wants people to come over and settle them with you. Zhang Xiangbei nodded. Have you ever thought that Wu Huan could have decided many things, but in the end it was still up to you to decide? Xiao Fang continued to ask. Zhang Xiangbei thought for a while and nodded. It was indeed the case. For example, this time, things like Xiang Yun's farm workers' wage standards did not need to go through him at all. They had to go through him. How would he know whether it was okay or not? Yes, it does not have to be done through the financial center. Bai Bei, let me tell you, you may not realize it yourself. This means that there is a problem with your company's management. When the people below hand over the decision-making power, they are also handing over the responsibility. The thing is, you made the decision, and when something goes wrong, should you bear the responsibility? Is it unjustifiable that you still ask the people below to bear the responsibility? Zhang Xiangbei froze there. After thinking for a while, he had to nod. Moreover, this will have inertia. Bai Bei, let me tell you, if you are like this, you will become busier and busier, and you will have to decide more and more things, and they will become more and more detailed. In the end, 5. You also need to sign for the reimbursement of RMB 10,000, which is too busy for you alone. If the superiors do good things, the subordinates must follow them. If the superiors do evil things, the subordinates must follow them. This is the same in the company. The more the boss likes to take charge, the less subordinates dare to take charge. It is easy to make mistakes if you take charge. It's not his fault, so why wouldn't he do it? As time goes by, your company will become completely flat. To the extent that you are the boss, and all the employees below are part-time workers, the middle management will disappear. Your personal imprint and style will become more and more obvious in this company. However, the company now has tens of thousands of people, and it has to deal with tens of thousands of things every day. Bai Bei, is it enough for you to deal with one thing in 1 minute? It is enough. You can do it 24 hours a day without eating. Even if you don't drink or sleep, you only have 1,440 minutes, which is still not enough. What will happen in the end is that the problems will accumulate, and they will accumulate more, and finally crush you. Bai Bei, too much management is not a good thing. Only effective management will create greater benefits. Why does a company need a sound organization? It needs this organization to be effective, not individuals. Companies with strong personal will, it cannot be denied that in a short period of time, his efficiency will be very high, just like authoritarian countries are often more efficient than democratic countries. How could it not be high? If you say yes to something, you can do it immediately and start working immediately. There is no need to even discuss it, and there is no need to do research and analysis. The boss is watching in front of you. Why don't everyone work hard? How can the efficiency not be high? But the question is, what if you are wrong? What will happen if everyone immediately starts working on it when you say it is okay? Does it also magnify the mistakes in your decision making? Where is the error correction mechanism? Where is the error correction mechanism? There is none at all. You can only wait for your boss to wake up and find that this is not working, and then change it immediately. Such a company will eventually become a messy company, and everyone will very busy, but busy changing orders day and night, busy correcting mistakes. While correcting mistakes, I continue to make mistakes. Your company will become a company that is always trying and making mistakes. If the company is on the right path and has a strong foundation, it can withstand your trials and errors. If the company goes astray, it will be very difficult. Danger, every trial and error comes with a cost. Bai Bei, have you realized that a lot of your current work has actually caused interference to Wu Huan, the CEO? If she is a person with her own opinions and is inconvenient to oppose you, she will still be harmonious on the surface, but the contradiction between you two has not been resolved. but will accumulate and become deeper and deeper. When it breaks out, there may be no way to recover. Bai, listen to Auntie, take this opportunity and let Wu Huan do it. Trust her. On the other hand, if Wu Huan can't even do this and still needs your help, she is not a. If you are a qualified CEO, you should consider changing the CEO. After Xiao Fang finished speaking, he looked at Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei lowered his head and pondered. He felt that Aunt Xiao Fang was right. In fact, he understood what she said. When he calmed down and thought about it, he knew what a good company should be like, but that's theoretical. In fact, when you are sitting in the office and seeing so many things, how can you not care about it? When a broom falls on the ground and you pass by it, don't you just pick it up? Instead, you wait there and call the cleaner over and ask her to pick it up. Theoretically speaking, he really shouldn't help. That's not his responsibility, but the responsibility of the cleaner. However, this seems too fake and a waste of time. Zhang Xiangbei told Xiao Fang his doubts, and Xiao Fang laughed and said, not only does the government need to have self-control and control its hands reaching out to businesses and the market, but so do you. You also need to control your hands reaching for the broom. Holding the broom is not something you should do at all. Change your thinking, Bai. When a broom falls on the ground, you don't think about whether to help it or who will help it, but you need to formulate regulations on how and where the cleaner's broom should be placed, so that the broom will not fall down. There is no broom on the ground, who will help it, and whether you should help it, will it still be a problem? Zhang Xiangbei looked at Xiao Fang and also laughed. He said, I understand. I know you can get through it. Xiao Fang smiled and said, how about, do you want me to call Wu Huan and tell her that you are going to Chongqing during the Spring Festival? No, I'll tell her myself, Zhang Xiangbei said, and Xiao Fang agreed. Zhang Xiangbei went to the office and told Wu Huan about the matter. What surprised him slightly was that Wu Huan was not surprised or flinched at all. Instead, he said, go ahead. I am here. I am going to Chongqing, not going to the United States. If anything happens, you'll be back in a few hours, right? Wu Huan looked at him and said. Zhang Xiangbei said, yes, thank you for your hard work. Why bother? This is what I should do, Wu Huan said. Zhang Xiangbei returned to his office and sat down. He stretched out his hands and looked at them. He said to himself that it seemed that he had to find a way to control his hands and think more about how to prevent the broom from falling down. The problem. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to Yuzazialiu, Hu, and Hao, Lao Dibao Ei, Xiao Wang, Gigai, and Xiao Xiao for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2007. After Black Forest Food was listed on Nasdaq, although Liu Bang, the emperor of Han Dynasty, still served as the chairman of Black Forest Food, he basically withdrew from the daily management of the company. In terms of technical matters in the company, Wang Minsheng in management, a CEO hired from Taiwan, is in charge of daily management work. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han Dynasty, was the kind of person who saw things and life very clearly. He felt that since he wanted to quit, he should quit completely. Now he doesn't even go to the company. If he does, he will feel that he is doing a favor to young people. Interference, even their monthly board meeting, Liu Bang, the emperor of Han Dynasty, also suggested to hold it in Peach Blossom Spring and borrowed the conference room of Tan Shahen and their hotel. After Ding Gaiman, the wife of Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, also came from Taiwan, they rarely returned to Taiwan now. Ding Gaiman laughed at him every time. Why are you doing this? Why are you worried about them? You are not even a party member. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, also felt that he was asking for trouble, so he simply did not go back. Ding Gaiman brought her aunt to Hangzhou from Ziyuning, Anhui province, lived with them, and hired a nanny to take care of her. Lu Bang, the founder of the Han dynasty, and his wife, their favorite thing to do now is to drink tea in Longjing, which is not far from the Peach Blossom Spring. Every afternoon, they don't drive, but each ride a bicycle to Meijiao. The shop owners all know them and know that they are Taiwanese guys. They also have 2 or 3 fixed tea houses, and they stay there when they go there. On a rainy day, it was inconvenient to travel by bicycle. Ding Gaiman was talking to his aunt at home. She was reluctant to go out. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, drove his car and went to sit with Lao Tan and Zhang Chen. Lu Ligan came back and he arrived. As long as Lu Ligan knew about Zhang Chen's place, he would definitely come to Zhang Chen's place to chat with Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty. Even when he arrived at Zhang Chen's place, Lu Bang, the founder of the Han dynasty, would not stop by the Black Forest milk tea shop downstairs. Lu Bang and Zhang Chen, the founders of the Han dynasty, said that if they don't watch it, they will definitely talk too much if they can't help it. I am not familiar with the company's situation now, and it will be difficult for Mince Hung and others to talk nonsense if I am not familiar with it. Both Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan admired Lu Bang's clear thinking and open-mindedness. Lu Bang, the emperor of Han dynasty, smiled and said, "What kind of open-mindedness? I worked hard for the first half of my life just so that one day I could have tea and not have to do anything. Now that I have this condition, why can't I enjoy it and make myself suffer?" Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, heard that Zhang Chen and others were going to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year this year, so he wanted to go with them. Zhang Chen said yes, it would be very welcome if my eldest brother could go with them. The son of Han Emperor Lu Bang stayed in England after graduating from university and married a British girl. The couple Lu Bang, the emperor of Han dynasty, and his wife just went to England to visit their son and daughter-in-law last month. They will not come over during the Spring Festival this year. Ding Gaiman asked her aunt's daughter and her family to come to Peach Blossom Spring to celebrate the New Year with her aunt. The two of them went to Chongqing with Zhang Chen and others. This trip to Chongqing was really a large force. Zhang Chen and his family included Xiaoshu, Yao Fen, and their family of 3, as well as Xiang Nan. Now Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan are their center. If they want to go, Tan Shahen and Lu Ligan will definitely go with them, along with Mr. and Mrs. Lu, Teacher Tan, and Mrs. Tan. There was also Lu Yun. Lu Yun was going back to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year. Zhang Chen and the others were going to go, so she was happy to go back with Zhang Chen, Xiao Fang, and the others. Lu Yun's mother passed away suddenly last year. She was playing mahjong with someone at night. She stood up and said she had to go to the toilet. Before she could stand up straight, she fell down. Her face was bruised, her lips were cyanotic, and her eyes were staring at the right side. She turned to her side and could no longer move her eyes. Lu Yun's father called her from the side, but she had no response and was twitching. Those who played mahjong together were so frightened that they didn't even dare to touch it. By the time the ambulance arrived, the man was already dead. After examination, the doctor said he died of a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. After her mother passed away, Lu Yun wanted her father to live with her in Shanghai, but her father refused no matter what. He said that he would be in Chongqing and I would be fine in Chongqing by myself. You can go on your own. Lu Yun saw that her father was in good health and had not yet needed anyone to take care of him. In fact, even after arriving in Shanghai, she would really have much time to take care of him. Lu Yun bought his father a house near Jifangbei and hired a nanny to take care of him. Unexpectedly, after Lu Yun left, his father rented out the house, fired the nanny, and went back to live in his old house. He said that he lives in an old house and is surrounded by acquaintances. The old house is still comfortable. For so many years, Lu Yun felt that she had been imprisoned by her mother since she was a child. She had forgotten that there was another person in the family, her father, who had actually been oppressed by her mother. From the day they got married, her father was constantly being scolded by her mother, and she didn't even dare to fart. When her parents go out to play mahjong together, her mother is always the one who sits at the mahjong table. Her father can only pass out water and listen to her mother's scoldings. Her mother will scold her when she loses. It's because her father is the unlucky guy beside her, causing she was having such bad luck today, but that didn't mean that her father could walk away. If his father dared to walk away at this time, it would only cause a more violent storm. The only thing his father could do was to act like he couldn't hear. This almost became his only weapon against Lu Yun's mother. No matter at home or outside, he just pretended that he was deaf and couldn't hear anything. When my mother gets tired from playing mahjong, or feels like she needs to change her luck, she stands up without saying a word, and my father immediately takes over. But as long as my mother feels that she has rested well, or her father just happens to get a good hand of cards, my mother is by her side. Seeing this, he hummed "Go away." Even though the boss didn't want to, his father had to stand up obediently and give up his seat and cards to his mother. In front of her mother's grave, her father said something that made Lu Yun cry. He said, "Your mother has never let me play good cards once in her life." When her mother passed away, neither Lu Yun nor her father was too sad. Lu Yun sometimes thought about it and found it funny. She thought that her mother had been fighting all her life. In the end, not only did she not fight for time, she didn't even have a relative who would really feel sorry for her. Even if she didn't fight for it, what on earth was she fighting for? Even when choosing a tomb, the cemetery staff asked them, single tomb or double tomb. Her father hesitated for a long time and was speechless. The staff at the cemetery was surprised and asked Lu Yun quietly, "Your parents are divorced?" Lu Yun said no, and the staff said, "What else is there to think about? It must be a double tomb." Lu Yun said, "Yes, let's have double tombs." Looking at her father, Lu Yun felt a little sad for him. She thought that her father must be like her. He had thought about running away from her mother many times, but he did not dare. As long as his mother was still there, he would not even think about divorce. Dare to bring it up. After her mother passed away, both Lu Yun and her father seemed to let out a long sigh of relief. For her father, there was a feeling of liberation and rebirth. A man who was in his 70s finally gained his freedom. Others can't understand the kind of relaxation and happiness he feels after freedom. How could he go to Shanghai with Lu Yun and let someone take care of him? Soon, Teacher Lu became the happiest person in their area. He was alone and rich. He had a retirement salary. Lu Yun would also send him money every month. He also had a rent for renting out the house. It was so much that he didn't even know how to spend it. Over the decades he has been with Lu Yun's mother, his living habits have been formed. Apart from mahjong, he has no other hobbies, let alone traveling and seeing the outside world. Apart from hot pot, he only has mahjong and mahjong every day. In addition, Teacher Lu was attracted by several old colleagues and joined the ranks of square dancing. After dancing in the square, Teacher Lu found that dancing was like joining a cult. It was actually more interesting than playing mahjong. Teacher Lu was also a good-looking person. Although he had been abused by his wife for decades, he still had no facial features. He had a tortured look on his face, but he looked quite decent. In addition, he always liked to give this and that gift and treat him to this and that hot pot. Soon, he became a favorite in the eyes of several old ladies who danced with him, and they were all willing to play with him. They went out to compete together, running from this community to that community, from Yuzhong to Shapingba, from Shapingba to Zhuolongpo, and competed as far away as Chengdu. Square dancing also has a square dancing world. The square dancing world is young people. People cannot understand that these old men and women in their 60s and 70s are more competitive and energetic than young people. They always have countless activities and competitions. Gradually, Teacher Lu rarely even plays mahjong anymore and is completely addicted to square dancing. Every time he went out to compete, Teacher Lu not only contracted the fares of several old ladies with whom he was friendly, but also contracted the meal expenses and participation fees. This made him more and more isolated among the old men and aroused more and more resentment. More hate, but more and more popularity among the old ladies. Teacher Lu doesn't care at all about the isolation of those old men towards him. He knows that they are jealous. They don't have much money and there are old ladies taking care of the family. Haha, I have no one to take care of me. The person who takes care of me already wants to take care of me. I can't control it, and I can't scold him even if I want to. I have been liberated. Teacher Lu is happy every day. Happy people are invincible. More than 3 months ago, when Lu Yun was still helping Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan to merge Renjia Travel and Liu Customization, Lu Yun received a call from the local police station, telling them that she said that her father had a fight with someone and was now sent to the hospital. She hoped that she could go back. Lu Yun was confused as soon as she received the call. Her father? That person who had been scolded for almost his whole life and didn't even dare to say a thing, actually got into a fight with someone? Still admitted to the hospital? Did she even provoke the police station to call her? Lu Yun hung up the police call and quickly dialed her father's cell phone. The call was picked up. It turned out that the police officer in front said that the phone was with them. This cell phone was temporarily regarded as the murder weapon. Your father used the cell phone to kill the other party. His head was smashed, and he is now in the hospital. My God. Lu Yun was completely confused and had no idea. She felt that facing a father who fought with others and ended up in the hospital was much more difficult than facing the merger of two companies. She had never experienced such a thing. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan quickly comforted her. Lu Ligan said, it's okay, isn't it just living in the hospital? Older people, even if they fall on the street, will be sent to the hospital first. If it's serious, the police will tell you. If the police don't tell you, it means it's not serious and they'll let you go. They're just helping to deal with the incident. It's not a big deal. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan accompanied Lu Yun to Chongqing. Thank you for your monthly votes from Zhao 1017, Tamaki, The Flame of Morality, Looking at the Plum Blossoms, Zi Zhenyu, and Zongkai 727. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2008. It was already past 5 o'clock in the afternoon when they received the call from the police. The last flight from Hangzhou to Chongqing that day was at 8:05 p.m. Unfortunately, there were no more tickets, so they had to book a flight at 7 o'clock the next morning. The earliest flight has passed. After booking the flight, Lu Yun called the policeman in front and told him that there was no flight today and that he would arrive tomorrow morning. She asked how her father was injured. If two old men fight, they will be seriously injured. However, does your father have high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease? No. It's fine if he doesn't. Anyway, the hospital is also checking and observing them, and calls your family members. The main thing is to mediate. The two old men are very angry, and it will be difficult to deal with it the second time. The police told Lu Yun that it seemed that Lu Ligan's judgment was correct, and Lu Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. The next morning, Lu Yun and the other three arrived at Chongqing Jiangbei Airport. Zhang Chen and his group, General Manager Yao of the Chongqing Logistics Base, drove to the airport to pick them up. They first went to the hospital where the police and Lu Yun mentioned yesterday, but found no one. They asked 4 or 5 doctors and nurses. One of the nurses remembered the fight yesterday. The 2 old men who were sent over by the police said that one of them had a head injury. It was broken and required 4 stitches. There was also a slight trauma. The 2 of them observed it for a while and found no other symptoms. They all left yesterday. The 4 people left the hospital and stood next to the car. Zhang Chen asked Lu Yun if she wanted to go to home or the police station. Lu Yun thought for a while and said that she would go to the police station first to understand the situation. What she was thinking was that even if she went home and found her father, she would definitely not be able to find out anything about her father's character. They arrived at the police station, and the car drove into the courtyard of the police station. There was a large yellow box tree in the yard. It was winter now. Logically speaking, the box tree should be littered with fallen leaves. Unexpectedly, this yellow box tree, but it is luxuriant. The leaves of the yellow box trees in Chongqing are variable. You can often see several yellow box trees standing in a row. One is bare and desolate, one is full of green, one is just sprouting, and another one is just losing its leaves one after another. When locals talk about the yellow jujube tree, they have a saying of when it is planted, when it will fall off its leaves. It is also interesting to know from the time when a tree falls off its leaves that it can be inferred the time when it was planted. The police station is a 3-story building built in the 1980s and 1990s. Under the yellow oak tree is the parking lot of the police station. There are 2 police cars and 3 or 4 social vehicles parked here. Mr. Yao stopped the car. Zhang Chen thought to himself, Lu Yun, my father fights with people. After all, it is not a glorious thing and not very good looking. He and Mr. Yao said, you wait for us here. Mr. Yao said yes. The 3 people walked up the steps to the door. When they entered the police station's service hall, which was converted from the original foyer. Directly opposite the door, there was a staircase going upstairs. The surrounding walls were white, with a circle of paint about 1.2 meters above the ground. There is a green wall skirt, and there is a row of counters on the right side of the hall. Behind the counter are 2 police officers sitting, handling temporary residence permits and other matters. There was a policeman sitting at the desk not far behind them. Lu Yun walked over and gave the name of the police officer Chen who called her yesterday, and asked the police officer if he was there. The police officer said he was not here now. The police were dispatched. You guys go sit over there and wait. The 3 of them were about to retreat to the row of stools opposite and sit down. The policeman sitting inside stood up and came over to ask Lu Yun, what do you want? Lu Yun said, I am Lu Pinmin's daughter. I had a phone call with Officer Chen yesterday. As soon as Lu Yun mentioned her father Lu Pinmin's name, the 2 police officers and the policeman all left. It seemed that teacher Lu was already famous here. The policeman and an idle auxiliary police officer said, go and ask the boss to come down. The assisting police officer immediately stood up, came out, and ran upstairs. After a while, he led a policeman in his 40s down. This was their deputy director. The deputy director looked at them and saw that there was nothing wrong with them. I saw teacher Lu and asked, why aren't the parties involved here? Weren't they asked to come here for mediation today? Lu Yun quickly said, we came directly from the airport to understand the situation first. The deputy director nodded and led them to the 2nd floor. He led them into the conference room and sat down. He introduced the case to them. Lu Yun's face turned red with embarrassment. If there was a hole in the ground, she might have gotten into it on the spot. It turned out that teacher Lu was in love with the old lady who danced with them. Old MRS who had also been widowed for many years. The 2 danced together, went to competitions outside, and ate together. Old MRS who often went to teacher Liu's house to help him wash up clothes and so on. It is said, the deputy director glanced at Lu Yun and continued, it is said that they even slept together. The two of them got along so well that many people dancing together became jealous. The deputy director smiled and said that Teacher Lu was still very charming. Many old ladies liked him. They were jealous of Teacher Hu and pointed fingers behind his back. Stab. Lu Yun frowned as she listened and thought to herself, what kind of charm is this? He is just a timid old man. No one in his life would look at him seriously. He followed her mother with a grey tail, that flattery. His strength is worse than that of a follower. On the other side, the deputy director continued to say that there were a few old men who liked Mrs. Hu very much, and they were jealous of Teacher Lu. Originally, it is normal for the elderly to fall in love. The most beautiful thing is the red sunset, right, the deputy director said, but this old lady who wants to marry Teacher Lu, but Teacher Lu refuses to say anything. The two of them they had a falling out. Mrs. Hu said that Teacher Lu had deceived her feelings and was a big liar. Two old men who liked Mrs. Hu found out and were not convinced and went to find Teacher Lu. Three people were quarreling. There were two people fighting, and there was an old man who was helping and yelling. Teacher Liu's face was scratched, and there was a black bruise here. The deputy director pointed to his left eye and continued. The other party's head was broken and he bled a lot. I can't explain it clearly now. Teacher Lu said that he pushed him and the other party fell and knocked on the steps. The two old men said it was Lu. The teacher made the call on his mobile phone. The thing is like this, it's not big in itself, and we can't even ask for a forensic appraisal. Are you right? The old men's matter can be resolved if it can be resolved. Everyone should bear the medical expenses. Anyway, they all use medical insurance, and they don't have to pay much money. It's just that these old men are very angry. It will be bad if they make trouble again. We don't know what will happen. It is possible that something extreme will happen. We still have to take precautions before they happen. We just want to call all your family members over and persuade them together. They are all old comrades who have been revolutionary all their lives. If you have any grudges or grievances that need to be fought, why don't you all talk about it? Lu Ligan quickly said, yes, you are right, director. No matter how big the problem, you must use your fists to solve it. Even old comrades should not do this. Well, that's all. When you have time, bring Teacher Lu over. I'll also make an appointment with the other party's family members and ask them to call the two parties involved and Mrs. Hu over. Let's all come together. Do you think this matter has been resolved? The deputy director asked. Lu Yun sat there, feeling dumbfounded all the time. What was this? She didn't expect that her father, who had been submissive all her life, started to flirt with women after her mother left. The deputy director asked Lu Yun. Lu Yun had an embarrassed look on her face, thinking in her heart, being laughed at once is enough, but what about another time? And there are also the other party's family members and that old Mrs. Hu coming together? How big a show is this? Don't you think it's not enough to be embarrassed? Repeatedly. Zhang Chen looked at Lu Yun and knew that she didn't want to come here again. As soon as she mentioned Teacher Liu's name, there was a burst of laughter. Zhang Chen asked the deputy director. Director, do you have the phone number of the other party's family, and the phone number of the old lady who? I think we can go to them ourselves and negotiate to resolve this matter. That's right, your police station is also very busy. How can you work so hard for such a trivial matter, once or twice? Leader, let's solve it ourselves, Lu Ligan also said. Originally, this matter is not even a security incident. It should not be under our control. It should be a matter on the street. But seeing that the parties involved are elderly, we won't push it around. Now since you have this request yourself. Okay, by the way, do you really not need our help in mediating? The deputy director looked at Lu Yun and asked. Lu Yun nodded quickly. The deputy director leaned back, as if he was relieved, and said. Okay, then you can handle it yourself. If you need any help from us, just call me. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan quickly agreed. Next, the two parties exchanged business cards. The deputy director gave them the phone numbers of the other party's family members and MRS whose phone number, and the three of them said goodbye and left. The deputy director sent them downstairs. As he passed the counter, he knocked on the counter and shouted inside. "Bring Lu Pinmin's cell phone." The policeman inside walked to the metal cabinet on the side, opened it, took out a mobile phone from it, and handed it to the deputy director. The deputy director handed it to Lu Yun. The screen of the mobile phone was cracked. The two assistant policemen looked at Lu Yun, smiling all the time. The deputy director glared at them, and they quickly lowered their heads. The three of them, Zhang Chen, once again shook hands with the deputy director and said goodbye, asking him to stay. The three people walked outside the police station, and Lu Yun cursed angrily, "What a humming shame." Lu Ligan smiled and said, "It's okay, you should be happy. Teacher Lu still has a restless heart and can fight, which means he is in better health than Zhang Chen and I. This is a good thing." Lu Yun glared at him and cursed, "Do you think everyone is as shameless as you?" This scolding brought out the old hatred. Zhang Chen couldn't help laughing, and Lu Ligan also laughed. After getting in the car, Zhang Chen and Mr. Yao said, "Ask the base to send us a car. We will need the car in Chongqing these 2 days. Where are you going now?" "I'll take you there, and I'll leave this car to you." "I'll take a taxi back myself," Mr. Yao said. Zhang Chen agreed, "Then you don't have to send it away, we will drive there ourselves." Mr. Yao told them, "Call me if you have anything to do," and got out of the car. Lu Ligan wanted to move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. Lu Yun got out of the car from the back seat, walked to the front, opened the door and got in. "You don't know the roads in Chongqing, you don't even know the navigation," Lu Yun said. "Thank you ZDLM001 for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes from Shuishabao, Winsanliu, Zipanjiang1, Xiao Hujuan Sa, Daodu, Moral Flame, Book Friends 1302141533042558, and Book Friends 201809062232049934. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2009. Lu Yun's parents' home is in an old community facing the street. There are only 6 5-story houses in it. The house was built in the 1990s, but because it is a building facing the street, the exterior walls of the house have been renovated and painted light blue. Colorful exterior wall paint was used, the safety cages on the balconies were removed, and sealed aluminum alloy balconies were installed. Inside the gate facing the community, a new wall was built. On both sides of the wall were painted red flags waving in the wind, with 24 words of socialist core values written in the middle. This wall illuminated the courtyard of the community. All the rags have been covered up. Standing at the door and looking at it, this community is quite pleasing to the eye. There was no parking lot in the community, so Lu Yun parked her car in a nearby parking lot and the three of them walked over. After entering the gate and going around the screen wall, there is a bicycle shed on one side of the yard. The rest of the yard is filled with newly built flower beds. The path in the middle of the flower beds is winding. The existence of these flower beds is because in this yard, there were originally illegal buildings built by each household. They were finally demolished and converted into flower beds, which did not leave space for the subsequent illegal buildings and also allowed some people to build them. Residents who own cars cannot bring their cars in. Lu Yun led them to the unit in the middle of the second building. When they walked in, there was another world inside. The corridor was dim and the walls on both sides were dark. People walking on the street outside could not see this place. There is no need to care about image. After entering, you can still smell the smell of urine at the foot of the corridor. Someone must have been unable to find a toilet on the street and came here to solve the problem. There is a gate at the entrance of the community. It is closed all year round. The gate is open. There is no one guarding the small door in the middle. The street at the door is a long slope. On both sides of the slope, there are old residential areas like this. The first floor of the residential area facing the street is full of shops. There are 2 barrier gates installed at both ends of the whole street. There are security guards on duty there, which is equivalent to treating the entire street as a community. The 3 people arrived on the 3rd floor and stood in front of the door of 302. Lu Yun knocked on the door. There was a rustling sound inside. It was obvious that someone was there, but no sound was made. Lu Yun knocked on the door again and said, "Open the door." A voice sounded from inside, and the voice came out tremblingly, asking, "Who?" Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that Teacher Lu had broken the head, but he was still panicking. Maybe he was afraid that the old lady who would come to the door with her family and chop him up, this heartless old man. Lu Yun coughed twice and said again, "Me." The person inside the door heard clearly, took off the iron chain hanging on the door, and then opened the door. The 3 people outside the door were all surprised. There was a scratch on Teacher Liu's face and one of his eyes was black and blue. What surprised Lu Yun was not these, but the fact that she saw her father's hair, which was always messy, combed smoothly and covered with mousse. It turned out that the body is either a navy blue cotton jacket with 2 sleeves hanging on each hand, or a bloated black down jacket with 2 sleeves hanging on both hands. Now, he is wearing a camel-colored woolen coat, which is open, and inside is a red cashmere sweater. He is wearing a pair of gray plaid trousers with straight seams, and a pair of white leather shoes on his feet. In this way, Let Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan immediately thought of Lao Xie, who looked very impressive. The deputy director said that Teacher Lu was still very charming, and it seemed that he was right. Lu Yun was even more surprised. She felt that her father seemed to have grown taller. Her father was 1.76 meters tall, which was not short. However, when he followed his mother, he always had a hunched back. Now that her mother is gone, he is really the serf stood up and sang, even with his back straight. "Why are you back?" Teacher Lu asked when he saw Lu Yun. Lu Yun snorted and cursed, "You still have the nerve to ask me. The police station called me and said that you had a fight with someone and you went to the hospital. Can I not come back?" Lu Yun walked in as she said that. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan called Uncle hello and followed them in. Teacher Lu shouted, "I'm fine. Don't look at my face like this. I'm fine. I didn't suffer any loss. The other party suffered a loss and even had stitches on his head." "You are very honorable, right?" Lu Yun turned around and looked at her father with an aggressive look. "Come on, tell me, why are you fighting?" Teacher Lu murmured and was speechless for a long time. "Tell me, why are we fighting?" Lu Yun asked. Teacher Lu muttered, "It's nothing, just a little conflict." "A little conflict," Lu Yun snorted again, and then asked, "What's going on, Mrs. Hu?" Teacher Liu's expression suddenly became coy. He looked at Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan quietly gave him a thumbs up. Teacher Lu laughed and asked Lu Yun, "You know everything?" Lu Yun took Teacher Liu's cell phone out of her bag, threw it on the coffee table, and asked, "We have been to the police station, do you know?" Teacher Lu smiled and said nothing. He looked at Lu Ligan, who gave him a thumbs up again. Zhang Chen looked at his watch. It was almost 12 o'clock. Zhang Chen and Lu Yun said, "Let's go have lunch first. Uncle will also clean up here. He will stay with us in the hotel for the next 2 days and come back when everything is settled." Lu Yun thought about it and realized that this was all she could do now. She knew that although her father had been very strong just now, he was still a timid and fearful person at heart. She was really worried about leaving him alone at home. Lu Yun looked at her father and said, "Hurry up and clean up." Teacher Lu hurriedly went to the inner room. Zhang Chen and Lu Yun said, "Don't worry, just be fine, everything else will be taken care of." Lu Yun sighed and said softly, "Thank you." Lu Yun felt that she really had no experience in dealing with this kind of thing. Fortunately, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan accompanied her. Lu Ligan and Lu Yun said, "Give me the other party's phone number, and you won't come forward. Zhang Chen and I can go talk to them one by one. You can stay in the hotel with your father." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, leave it to us." Lu Yun said thank you again, took out the paper written by the deputy director from her bag, and handed it to Lu Ligan. "The Hilton Hotel is not far from here." The four of them went to the Hilton Hotel to stay, and then went to the Ziwiwiding Chinese restaurant on the second floor to eat. While eating, Lu Yun also calmed down. She said to her father, "If you want to find another person and get married, I support it, as long as you don't mess around like this." "I'm not messing around," Teacher Lu said, "it was the two of them who came to me and scolded me. The words were unpleasant and they scolded me worse than that Chen Shimei. Why didn't I argue with them? I would still be afraid of them." Lu Yun waved her hand to stop her father from talking any more. Lu Yun said, "Okay, I don't want to hear about the fight anymore. Just tell me, and who, do you like her?" "Of course I do. If I don't like her, why would I be with her?" Teacher Lu said. "Okay, as long as you like her," Lu Yun then asked. "Then I heard from the police station that she wanted to marry you. Is there such a thing?" Teacher Lu nodded and said, "Yes." "You didn't promise her?" "No." "Why?" Lu Yun asked. "There is no reason, I don't want to get married," Teacher Lu said. Lu Yun asked again why she didn't want to get married. Teacher Lu said it was because she didn't want to get married. She kept going back and forth between not wanting to get married and just because she didn't want to get married. Lu Yun couldn't come up with anything new to say. The four of them were almost finished eating, and Lu Ligan and Lu Yun said, "You go up first, and Zhang Chen and I will chat with our uncle." Lu Yun looked at Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen nodded. Lu Yun understood their intentions. There were some words that father and daughter were ashamed to say, but with Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen, they might be able to say them. Lu Yun stood up and went upstairs alone. Lu Ligan watched Lu Yun walk away, turned around and said to Teacher Lu, "Uncle, look, we are here to help you solve your problem. If this problem is not solved, you will not be at peace here, and Lu Yun will not be at ease in Shanghai either. Uncle, look, we are both men. We understand that you will feel itchy in your heart. We are also itchy. We will also be itchy when we see women. If not, we are either eunuchs or homosexuals. Normal men will be itchy. Is that right?" Teacher Lu nodded quickly and Lu Ligan said, "We are here not only to solve the trouble you caused this time." Hey, uncle, don't look at me like this. It's normal for men to cause trouble for women. Otherwise, how can we say that women are a trouble? Women are a trouble. You just have to break through. If you don't break through, your heart will feel itchy and you won't be able to stand up." Teacher Lu laughed and said, "I've never heard of anyone explaining that women are a source of trouble, but it's still very novel." "Isn't it novel?" "I am not only novel, but also have many methods," Lu Ligan said. "This time, we will also solve your itchy problem, but you must tell us the real situation. I don't know the symptoms, how can we help you? Even if you can rejuvenate yourself, you must first treat the symptoms. Are you right, uncle?" Teacher Lu nodded. "Uncle, tell me, why don't you want to marry and who?" Lu Ligan asked. "I was afraid of getting married after getting married once. I finally got rid of it. How could I get married again? Even if a fairy fell from the sky, I wouldn't marry her." Teacher Lu said, "Marriage is too terrible. That woman, before getting married, I didn't want to marry her after getting married, you just have two faces. It's all the same, and so do we men. Uncle, we must learn to criticize and self-criticize, Luligan said. Uncle, tell me, have you always had this idea of not wanting to get married, or have you just had it? I have always regretted getting married since Xiaoun was born. You don't know, I used to watch her mother scold Xiaoun, and I felt very sad. I knew she was wrong and wanted to help her, so she felt that I was not a man and was not worthy of being a father, and I regretted it for decades. It was only after her mother passed away that I finally felt that I could breathe again, said Teacher Lu. That is to say, when you met Aunt Hu, you knew that you would not marry her, right? Lu Ligan asked. Right. Uncle, tell me, you don't want to marry someone, but you have to provoke them and have sex with them. What does this mean? Lu Ligan asked. What did I do to provoke her? It was she who brought her up. We danced together. Many women were very nice to me. I know, Uncle is personable and charming. You are a pearl, but you have been buried in the sand for too long. Lu Ligan's words made Teacher Lu very happy. Lu Ligan changed the subject and continued. But, having said that, sleeping is a matter between two people. If you don't want to sleep with her, even if she sleeps, it will be an empty bed. We are not allowed to cheat on this. Teacher Liu's face turned red, and after holding it in for a long time, he could not speak. Lu Ligan said. I understand, Uncle, you don't want to get married, but you are a man. You can't control your lower body and it will itch. This is also a normal reaction of a man. Am I right? Teacher Lu looked at him and nodded. Thank you Wu Family Courtyard, and book friend 1309112023195552 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2010. In the afternoon, Lu Ligan made a phone call and asked the two old men's families to come together to discuss and resolve this matter. Lu Ligan told them on the phone that no matter who was right or wrong in this matter, fighting is always bad. We asked let's have a meal and express our attitude first. The time is set at 6 o'clock in the evening, and the location is in the private room of Sister Pei's old hotpot on Minsheng Road, Jiao Kangkao, Jifangbei. At 5:30, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen arrived at the private room of the hotpot restaurant. They sat there drinking tea and waiting. They chatted about Lu Yun. Zhang Chen asked Lu Ligan. Have you ever thought that you are a harmful person and that any woman you get involved with will have an unsatisfactory marriage? Lu Ligan was stunned for a moment. He had never thought about this matter. When Zhang Chen said it, he thought that it was really the case. Tan Shahen's marriage should be said to be bumpy. Now, she is over 50 years old. The two of them finally got together. Lu Yun has never been married. Although it is definitely not because of him, it is just a coincidence. The same goes for Wen Wen and Qian Qian. Think about it again, even Wen Wen here is the same. Only Qian Qian is married, and that Huang Meili, Lu Ligan didn't know how she was doing or where she was now, let alone whether she was married. Lu Ligan laughed and cursed, it looks like I'm the trouble. Absolutely, Zhang Chen said. However, they are very capable of living independently and can survive without relying on men, Lu Ligan said. When I think about it, it should be like this, so they are single. Wen Wen told me, she said the reason why they don't get married is that if they get married, they will have nothing to do with others, and they will have to give them money to use, so they won't be so stupid. Zhang Chen smiled and felt that there was some truth to this. For a woman like Lu Yun, there really weren't many men who could match her. Finding just one to cause trouble for her was really not as good as being single. The door of the box opened, and 7 people filed in from the door. There were so many people here at once. It was an agreement between the two families. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were a little surprised. These people came in and did not say hello to them. Find a seat and sit down by yourself, everyone has a straight face. Lu Ligan smiled at them and said that since they are here, let's get to know each other. Let's introduce him first. This is teacher Liu's son-in-law and also my boss. As Lu Ligan spoke, he took out Zhang Chen's business card box and gave each person a business card. Zhang Chen himself didn't know how his business card box got to Lu Ligan or how he became Lu Ligan again. The teacher's son-in-law, Lu Yun's husband. However, it was difficult for Zhang Chen to refute Lu Ligan's introduction. He couldn't say it wasn't the case. Why did you two come here? You can't say that if your daughter doesn't want to come forward, let the two friends come out to deal with it. The other party is not a good person, and I'm afraid they will leave immediately. Zhang Chen nodded to everyone and said hello to them. The group of people didn't say a word. They were just looking at Zhang Chen's business card. On his business card, he was an honorary professor of some university and the president of Banmuishan Group. I couldn't help but feel secretly happy, plus these two hawker were both from outside the city, so it was easy to handle. Of the 7 people on the other side, only 2 were related to the 2 old men. One was Meng, the son of the old man with the broken head, and the other was Cao, the son-in-law of the other old man. The origins of the other 5 were unknown. It was very hot in the box. The 7 people came in and took off their coats. 2 of them took off their leather jackets. They were only wearing a black t-shirt underneath and there were tattoos on their arms. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen looked on. Snickering inwardly, some more pretenders came here. Lu Ligan looked at them and smiled and said, young people are still good. In such a cold weather, wearing only this little is not as good as us. The 2 guys looked at Lu Ligan with cold faces and squinted their eyes, but remained silent. Zhang Chen spoke first, we received a call from the police station yesterday and rushed here today. What happened makes people a little bit dumbfounded. We were all old friends who danced together. How could there be such a big conflict? Don't underestimate the elderly. The elderly can also have a young heart, Lu Ligan said. Okay, Zhang Chen waved his hand, I won't say more. Now that the matter has been revealed, the police station also said that it would be best if we can coordinate ourselves, so I think it is not a big deal. What do you mean it's not a big deal? My old man's head was opened and he received stitches. You say it's not a big deal, the man named Meng quit his job and shouted. Zhang Chen said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, but the police station can't decide whether the stitches were on the head. Some said they were beaten, and some said they were hit by falling on the steps. Okay, let's not talk about this. Just say, what are your requirements? Come back, my old man's skull is open, and your old man's skull will be open too, the man surnamed Meng shouted. Lu Ligan looked at him and said, okay, I understand. Your request is to fight back, right? What about you, Lu Ligan asked Cao, your father-in-law seems not to have been beaten. It's inappropriate for you to ask for him to be beaten back, right? We want mental compensation, the man named Cao said, my old man had nightmares last night and his heart couldn't bear it. We must pay mental compensation. Okay, reasonable, Lu Lepole nodded. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was Mr. Yao. Zhang Chen picked it up. Mr. Yao said on the phone. Mr. Zhang, the people at Beautiful Express are making trouble. Zhang Chen was puzzled and asked, Male Express? From Wuzia Y and Wei Venfang's company? What are they causing trouble? Lu Ligan took the phone from Zhang Chen and said into the phone. Mr. Yao, are you a pig? They are making trouble. Why do you call the boss? Call him back. Do they have more people or us? You take 100 people over and copy them. If 100 is not enough, take 200, go over there and fight to the death. If you win, call us. If you lose, pack up and get out. I'll send someone here. After hanging up the phone, Lu Ligan was still angry. He said to Zhang Chen, Wu Ziyawai is humming tired of living. After that, he took Zhang Chen's mobile phone and called Wu Ziyawai. Once the call came through, Lu Ligan he cursed. Wu Ziyawai, can you control the people below you? If you can't control us, we will control it for you. What do you mean? The boss has just arrived in Chongqing today, and you are making trouble. Isn't this not giving the boss face? Don't be nagging me. Get out. Lu Ligan hung up the phone and returned the phone to Zhang Chen. Everyone looked at him. Those people's faces were a little confused. The two guys with tattoos had their hands crossed on the table, but now they have put their hands down. Lu Ligan seemed to have calmed down and said to them, I'm sorry. I can't help it because of work. For people like us who work in logistics, that's it. All the white and black people have to leave. Come on, let's drink first. Lu Ligan raised his glass. Everyone hesitated and then raised their glasses without clinking. Lu Ligan drank the wine in one gulp and put down his glass. He looked at the men named Meng and Cao and said, I know all your requests. Don't worry, I will handle this matter. Our boss is a scholar, Professor Zhang. You can check online. There are a lot of videos of him giving lessons to leaders from all over the world. How to deal with this kind of social problems. He doesn't understand the matter, it's too polite, so I'll do it. There is a saying, if you are polite to me, I will be polite to you. If you want to be domineering, don't blame me for being domineering. There is another saying, it is not rude to call back but not to call back. You want to be called back, right? Okay, set a time, and we'll call the two old men out. Here, we'll open your head, and there, we'll punch out a panda's eyes and scratch your face. However, I'll start with my ugly words. Your head was opened and you needed 4 stitches. If you had 5 stitches this time, we wouldn't do it. We would definitely have to give that stitch back. This is very important. It makes sense, right? If you agree to do this, I will follow you and you will set the time. After Lu Ligan finished speaking, he turned to Cao. What you said makes sense. As for mental damages, it's very reasonable. Your old man had a nightmare, and my old man was incontinent last night. You want mental damages, and so do we. Is it normal? Why? Count. It's very simple. Urinary incontinence is more serious than nightmares. How much do you want? We'll ask you for an extra $1. It's very reasonable, right? You said incontinence of urine means incontinence of urine, said Cao. Then you said you had a humming nightmare? Did you see the nightmare he had? Lu Ligan asked. The man named Cao was at a loss for words. Lu Ligan said, this is the result of the treatment. Let's talk about the whole thing next. On our side, teacher Lu couldn't control his old dick and slept with the old lady named Hu. Whether they want to sleep or not, that is their business. Let me ask you, what does it have to do with you two old men? You old men are here to stand up for the man named Hu. What kind of relationship do they have? You and your father are fighting for other women outside? Does your mother know? And you, your father-in-law is fighting for other women outside? Your mother-in-law you know? It's not that I'm too talkative, but these two old men in your family are too pretentious. Don't you think it's ridiculous that you can't talk about this? Lu Ligan's words left everyone sitting speechless. Lu Ligan looked at the two guys with tattoos and said, two friends, you were probably invited by them to uphold justice, right? Do you think what I said is fair or not? The two looked at each other without saying anything. Lu Ligan continued. It's okay. Anyway, I gave you my boss's business card. If you feel it's unfair, you can always come to us in Hangzhou or our branch in Chongqing. For a moment, this group of people all felt a little wilted. They knew that these two people were not hot today. It was not that easy to take advantage of them. Moreover, Lu Ligan was right. No matter how you said this, it would not be easy. It seems that two old men deliberately went to pick fights with Teacher Lu for an old lady. This matter really cannot be brought to the forefront. The situation was a bit awkward. Zhang Chen raised his cup and said, "Here, let me toast you all." Everyone raised their glasses one after another, and this time everyone clinked. Putting down the cup, Lu Ligan said, "I have another suggestion. I wonder if you would like to hear it?" The man surnamed Meng said, "What suggestions?" Lu Ligan pointed at Zhang Chen, Meng, and Cao, and said to them, "You three parties should not come forward in this matter. Leave it to me. We are all old friends and we don't have much hatred. Tomorrow, I will take Teacher Lu and invite the two old people to have a meal together and let them they have resolved the conflict themselves, and as long as they are relieved of their anger, this matter will be over." The man named Cao quickly said, "This is good, this is good." The man surnamed Meng looked at the two guys with tattoos. The two guys sat there without saying anything. The man surnamed Meng could only nod. Next, everyone started to really eat hot pot and drink beer. Peiji's old hot pot's large kidney slices, spicy beef, tuo lunch meat and slaughterhouse buffalo tripe were pretty good. After eating and going downstairs, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were saying goodbye to the group. Mr. Yao came over and called him. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, "Why are you here?" Mr. Yao pointed not far away and said, "We've been down there all along. You're fine. We can go back." Zhang Chen looked in the direction that Mr. Yao was pointing, and there were more than 20 people standing there. They should all be from their Chongqing logistics base. After seeing off the group of people and then Mr. Yao and the others, the two of them got into the car. Zhang Chen knew that today was all Lu Ligan's arrangement, including calls from Mr. Yao and Wu Zayawai, and that Mr. Yao and his people were waiting for them below. And even deliberately showed it to the other party. Zhang Chen asked, "What do you want to do? What are you doing? You don't know. Strength must be shown. What's the use of bluffing?" Lu Ligan said. "Do you really think those two friends in society were scared after just 2 phone calls? Retreat. Aren't you worried that they will go find Teacher Lu again after we leave? But now, they don't dare anymore. Thank you Chuanlin for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for Protostop, watching the sky at night, former soldiers, remembering the original intention without seeing a future, no need to send 222 eggs, little janitor, broken dreams in the void, and don't beggar for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 2011. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen went to a tea house near Loquat Mountain Park, where they made an appointment with Aunt Hu. Not long after they sat there, Aunt Hu came. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were startled. Aunt Hu was in her 60s, but she had an afro, thick eyebrows, and bright red lips. The lipstick on her face was so thick that it almost seemed to stick the two lips together, and she also had 2 pieces of rouge on her face, as if the makeup had not been removed properly, rather than as if the makeup had just been put on. This image is too vulgar, but it may also suit the taste of those old people who live a boring life. They feel that she is a ball of fire and can burn just by looking at her. Zhang Chen felt that it was fortunate that Lu Yun did not come. If she saw that her father had such aesthetic tastes, she would probably want to die. Lu Ligan quietly said to Zhang Chen, "If I ever fight over such an old woman, I will commit suicide." Don't worry, Tan Shahen will definitely die behind you, and you have no chance, Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen asked Anhu to sit down. As soon as Anhu sat down, before they could speak, she began to scold Teacher Lu in Chongqing dialect. She spoke so fast that Zhang Chen could only understand 6 or 7 points, but Lu Ligan was completely I didn't understand, but I didn't need to understand. Her expression and tone had already revealed that what came out of those flaming red lips was not lotus. Zhang Chen sat there and listened, feeling a little feverish on his face and trembling in his heart. And who was talking very openly. Even what Teacher Lu did on the bed and what disgusting things she said to her, she told her in a nonchalant manner. After she came out, no wonder the 2 old men who liked her couldn't stand it and went to fight with Teacher Lu. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were sitting across from each other. They couldn't even get in the conversation and could only nod their heads from time to time. While cursing, Anhu rolled her eyes at them from time to time, as if the 2 of them knew how to transmit telegrams and could send her to her. The disdain and anger were transmitted to Teacher Lu in real time. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan had only one thought in their minds, and that was that luckily Teacher Lu persisted and did not agree to marry her. And who talked non-stop for more than half an hour, then suddenly stopped and asked them. What do you want from me? Only then did Lu Ligan have time to introduce to Anhu that Zhang Chen was Teacher Liu's son-in-law. They rushed over from Hangzhou to deal with this because they received a call from the police station after Teacher Lu had a fight with the 2 old men yesterday. Not just 2, there are many people who will fight for me, Anhu said proudly. Lu Ligan said yes, Anhu with such a good temperament was like 11 Shi and Yang Gaifei in ancient times. It doesn't matter if men fight for you. Even fighting for you is normal. What she said made Anhu very happy, and she patted her hand affectionately, almost hitting Lu Ligan's face, and Lu Ligan quickly shrank back. Zhang Chen asked coldly, Anhu, my father has had 2 heart bypasses, do you know? Anhu was stunned and asked, has he done bridge building? He always said that he is in good health and has nothing wrong with him. Anhu, this is all your fault. When it comes to a peerless beauty like you, no man would lie to please you, Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen frowned, the doctor has warned him many times not to do strenuous activities. We are not even worried about him dancing. We have always wanted him to go to Shanghai and not stay alone in Chongqing, but he just doesn't want to. Refused to go no matter what, alas, we had to hire a nanny to take care of him. Yes, that's what he told me. He said that his daughter asked him to go to Shanghai, but he refused to go. He also said that the nanny his daughter hired for him was also fired by him, and who said, that's because it's inconvenient for you to go to their house with outsiders around, Lu Ligan said, and Anhu nodded. Zhang Chen also nodded, I understand now. It used to be strange why a good nanny had to resign and he was not asked to pay the nanny's salary. Teacher Lu wants to live a 2-person world with Anhu, Lu Ligan said. Zhang Chen looked at Anhu and said seriously. Anhu, I think you are quite a nice person. Do you really want to marry my dad? If you really want to, we will do his job. You see, if you get married, my dad will have you by his side. Taking care of her, we can rest assured, we don't even need to hire a nanny, Anhu, are you willing? Anhu hesitated, and Lu Ligan said. I can't listen anymore, Zhang Chen, you can't be so selfish. I want to say something to my aunt. Your old man has built a bridge twice, and you still encourage them to get married? What do you mean, you want to find a free man, a nurse? Aren't you afraid that one day he might bang in bed and die next to your aunt? Anhu quickly waved her hand and said, no, no, I have been deceived by him before. If I knew that he had built a bridge twice, I would not dare to go to his house to look for him. Yes, yes, that's hard to say. With a bang, he died on you, auntie. He was lucky enough to die under the pomegranate skirt. Even if he is a ghost, he is charming. Auntie, you are unlucky. Luligan was fanning the flames on the side. When Aunt Hu heard this, she thought it was really possible, and then she really saw a big-headed ghost. Zhang Chen sighed and said, Auntie, since you don't want to, although we are very disappointed, there is nothing we can do about it, so let's do this. No matter what, you will have an easy time. I hope you won't tell others about my father's crossing the bridge. If you know him, he must be bragging everywhere, and he won't tell you alone that he is in good health. Aunt Hu nodded. He said we danced together. I'm worried that if others find out, they will discriminate against him and ignore him. When he is stimulated, he will, do you understand, Auntie? Zhang Chen asked. Aunt Hu said she understood. We will also ask him to dance as little as possible, at least not such strenuous activities. Zhang Chen said, he knew in his heart that before tonight, all the old ladies who danced with Teacher Lu would know that Teacher Lu had deceived everyone, and that he actually had 2 heart bridges, and no one would dare to talk to him again. Dancing together, no old lady dared to flirt with him. They were blocking Teacher Liu's path to love. Aunt Hu, please stop inciting other old men to quarrel and fight with him. Even if they want to go, Auntie, you have to use your charm to persuade them, okay? You also know that if this happens, if something goes wrong and the police investigate, the source turns out to be you, and you can't tell clearly, Luligan said. Aunt Hu said, I know, I understand this. But what about compensation for the loss of my youth? Aunt Hu asked the 2 of them. Luligan and Zhang Chen were both stunned. Zhang Chen asked, what kind of compensation for youth loss? Aunt Hu looked a little shy and said, I have slept with him several times. He told me that the 2 of us are together. If he is no longer here in the future, he will give me the house in Jifangbei. Oh my God, I didn't expect that this Teacher Lu was really a big liar. He would do anything to trick women into sleeping with him. Zhang Chen and Luligan couldn't laugh or cry. Luligan quickly said, Auntie, I have said before that you can't believe what this man says, let alone what he says in bed. Did Teacher Lu say this to you in bed? Aunt Hu's face turned a little red and she said nothing. After a while, she said, anyway, I can't suffer like this. Luligan thought for a moment, pointed at Zhang Chen, and said to Aunt Hu, Auntie, you see, things have passed. There is no point in talking about them now. You can't say that he slept with you and to compensate you, you went to sleep with him again, right? In that case, Auntie, you will still suffer. This way, I'll make the decision and let him buy you some nutritional supplements for 5,000, how about you replenish your body? 6,000, Aunt Hu said. Zhang Chen said yes, it's only 6,000. I didn't bring any cash. I'll go out and find an ATM to get it for you later. Aunt Hu picked up her mobile phone and said to Zhang Chen, I can use WeChat. Zhang Chen added Aunt Hu's WeChat account and transferred 6,000 yuan to her. Aunt Hu accepted it and didn't even want to drink the tea. She stood up and told them that she was leaving. Finally, she turned around and showed them off with a loud voice. Said goodbye. After Aunt Hu left, Zhang Chen and Luligan sat there. The more they thought about it, the more they felt that this matter seemed a bit strange. No, this animal is too ferocious. I will ask Teacher Lu later, Luligan said. The 2 returned to the hotel and immediately went upstairs to Teacher Liu's room. Luligan asked Teacher Lu, Aunt Hu, do you often give her money? Yeah, she said she wanted to buy clothes, cosmetics, and birthday gifts for her grandson. When Teacher Lu said this, he smiled slyly at them. However, I am very stingy. I give her 100 or 200 at a time. If she thinks it is too little, she will ask for it again. I will give her another 100 or 200, but it will not exceed 300 each time. Let me tell you, you can't give money to a woman all at once. It must be given in installments to satisfy them, and it can't be too refreshing. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. Teacher Lu, she took 6,000 in one go today. Both of them were confused. They didn't know who was the liar, Teacher Lu or Aunt Hu. They even began to wonder if the two of them thought they were smart and sang along in front of Aunt Hu. Maybe the other party had already figured it out. Breasts, people are just waiting for the plot to progress to the final stage. Hey, did you give her any money? Teacher Lu asked. If I wanted to break up with her, she would definitely demand 3,000 yuan for the loss of my youth. I refused and told her that my youth would also be lost. Now she is talking bad about me everywhere, saying that I am a big liar and that I have deceived her feelings. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan looked at each other, and both laughed. Ginger is still spicy. Thank you to Huaxin Yongxiao and Hao and On the Road to Nation for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.